Here's what happened. I'm in Austin, Texas, and I'm in this bathroom at this house that I'm renting out with my now life partner, Adriana, and I'm looking at the mirror and I'm telling myself, all right, dude, like you got this. Like you can do this. And what I'm about to do is actually ask her out because we were traveling just as friends and we had planned 60 days together. And so there was like big risk here to like in the first few days to ask her out. Because for me, there the fear of rejection came up hard, and it was that moment of courageously having to make the decision and then take that action and ask her out. And I think about the recording of this right now, like it's Valentine's Day. So I'm, thinking about love. And actually, our anniversary is February 12th. So we're able to like skip over the Valentine's Day and just celebrate the anniversary earlier. But it could be in other areas of life where you courageously have to step up. And I think about health and fitness being a big one of like, hey, you're going to make those changes for yourself, creating a healthier lifestyle, whatever that looks like for you. And what I want to share with you are 5 of my favorite habits to help fuel your courage, because courage is so important to help you to move forward and take that action and then build and grow the confidence that's within you. This is Make Burnout Extinct. I'm Robert David Weeks. Thank you for taking the time to be here. You could be doing a bunch of different stuff, a lot of distractions that are out there now. And so by you being here, coming in to talk about courage, that says something. And so I want to take a moment to get present because there could be a lot of stuff. I say that, a lot of amazingness, but then a lot of shit that you have to deal with that have gotten you to this point, and then a lot of other stuff that you're having to deal with after this. So let's take a deep inhale through the nose. Let's take it in, get present, let it on out. Oh yeah. It's always nice to do that. If you're new here, welcome. And if you haven't done it yet, you can subscribe and follow the show for the latest episodes. I have a few commitments for you that I want to share with you. First one is the commitment to continue to grow this show. It's been epic to witness the momentum that's been built around this one mission to make burnout extinct. And so by you subscribing and following the show, it honors that commitment to continue to grow the show. It helps. The second one is to be honest with you. So to share the full experience of what it means to make burnout extinct, not just for the results, those simple results in its simplest form of to feel more energized in your day, to connect to that aliveness of life. So you're not just going through like the day-to-day motions and just being like, I'm just like wanting to get the day over with. And to feel more excited about the momentum that you're building towards the vision of who it is you want to become, of optimizing certain areas of your life and achieving amazing and incredible things for yourself. So it's not just those results. It's also the hard work that comes with that, the effort, the showing up, putting the reps in, the understanding of what are your burnout proof habits that help you to avoid burnout and that energize you, identifying those and then continue to show up and put those reps in. And so for me, with my burnout leading up in 2018, I lied so many times. But when 500 people came together for that social media conference, and so lying played a big part in me hitting burnout, and that's something I don't want to have happen here with this show. And that's why this is such an important commitment that I always want to make to you, is to the best of my ability to be honest, and whenever a mistake happens, to share that it was a mistake, and then be able to let you know about that too. So thank you for being here. Let's get into it. Today, with it being Valentine's Day, I think about that. It can be scary in moving through life and growing and optimizing certain areas of life and taking risks. Like there's fear that can bubble up from the body. I've said it before that with anything new, it can create uncertainty for the body, and that can create this fear response, that stress response from the body. And it can cause you to resist making these changes. And actually, the body could then cause you to move you back towards your old habits and old patterns. And that's where this saying of like, you feel like you take one step forward, but then you take 2 steps backwards. And what I want to tell you is that there are 5 habits that are my favorites that I want to share with you that have given me the best leverage so far that I've realized to make burnout extinct and to move forward courageously in taking important action in my life. And I feel like in this phase of my life, these are the five that come up that I really want to get into for you. And so the five to kick it off, the first one is to honor your commitments. The second one is to celebrate your wins, the small wins. The third one is to create movement throughout your day. And then the fourth one is to take on challenges. And then the final one is to eat healthy foods. And these five, what I want to do is break down each one of them specifically in the time that we have. I can go more in depth. You can always send me a message, email, or message on social media for what you want to learn more about when it comes to these five habits and what resonates for you. But yeah, life, it's amazing, it's beautiful, it's terrifying, it's such a full range of different emotions. And so for this first one of the habit of honoring your commitments, with burnout, there is a lot of talk about overworked or you're feeling like you're doing too much. But what I connected back to for one of the reasons I hit burnout is that I wasn't honoring the commitments I was making to myself. I wasn't honoring when I said I was going to rest, I rested. When I said I was going to push hard with my work and get these tasks done that I had set out to accomplish, I didn't do that. Instead, I tried to avoid it. And I think about it as like this rebel teenager, the teenager version of me that is like, I'm not going to listen to you, dude. Like, I'm not doing this stuff. I'm going to create some chaos. And for me, looking back in my life, that was a pattern that became a very firm and strong habit in my life. And so it became this slow process at the beginning, and then it started to speed up of having to honor my commitments. And I come back to starting small with a commitment. So if you say you're going to go out for a walk of 30 minutes in your entire day, making sure you honor that commitment. And starting small is a great way to create that momentum for yourself. And so thinking about what it is that you want to focus on and with more courage, being able to, if that is your health of wanting to get outside and create more movement, then it's identifying what is going to be a small action that you can take to move forward and to honor that commitment and then build it up from there. Because I've said it before, where you start isn't going to be where you end up, but it's a starting point for that momentum to build. And with honoring commitments, it's a reminder that you aren't going to be perfect with this. You're going to get off track at times, and it's in those moments to give yourself grace. Or it's not looking to have the perfect score with this, because the fear that came up for me was if I can't stick with it now, then I won't be able to stick with other ones that I create for commitments to myself. If that is going back to another habit I'll talk about of eating foods that are nourishing for me, that are healthy foods. If that is getting an intense, resistance training workout in, if it's when I say I'm going to get up before 8:00, I get out of bed before 8:00. And so with how I frame it with honoring commitments is starting small, but then having an at least minimum for the commitment. So with going out for a morning walk, I've talked about it before of the at least going to go out for 5 minutes, but then I get to open up the maximum amount of time where I could go out for an hour if that was an original goal of mine. But start small and then remember the at least technique in this area of the habit. The next one, or in this specific habit, next one I want to talk about for you is celebrating the small wins. It's so funny to me. I didn't really get it at first, and I'm like, oh, well, it kind of makes sense because I think about that in my own life. Is that with celebrating, like there's something about celebrating ourselves, like being proud of ourselves. I think about that where sometimes you could be made fun of as a kid, like that could come up where people are like, oh, like, why are you celebrating this small win if that is getting outside for that walk? If it's waking up when you said you're going to wake up, we can want to wait for these bigger opportunities without realizing that by celebrating the small wins, that's what leads to the big wins is those stacking up as a habit. And how you literally can do that is physically celebrating. I've talked about it so many times here, but again, a head nod is a celebration, fist pump in the air, or celebrating as if you scored a goal or a touchdown, like really letting it all out. And the way I do it now is, I tap both shoulders, raise my arms up, and I go, yeah, like, let's go, like, let's fucking go. And for me, I had to build up to that. So it goes back to start small for what feels a little bit out of your comfort zone, where there's courage that's needed there, but you don't need this intense amount of courage, or not intense amount of courage, but this big amount of courage. But you can start small and then build up the momentum from there. Because with honoring these small commitments, there's two things it does. One, it reminds the body that you want more of this thing. Like what gets celebrated, it's a signal to the body of like, oh, this is a good thing. Like this is something that is awesome. And then second, what it can do is actually, it can be a way for the body to then release the dopamine, this reward for the body. And that becomes an internal reward where it can help you to, with that momentum of showing up and putting those reps in for those moments where you are stepping up courageously and taking action. With courage, it's not just about taking the action, but it's what are you not accepting or avoiding? And it could be, what are you not accepting for the current reality that you're in? Because if you don't know where you are, then it's hard to figure out the path moving forward and clarity for the path moving forward. And I go back to this quote from Alex Hormozi I really like, which is, now is not forever. And so you have to accept where you're at, but remember that where you start isn't going to be where you end up. And there's a lot, those are moments for courage. And there's a lot of those that come up, of having to accept it for me back in 2021, that I could barely do one pull-up. When I went to visit my brother and he had his gym in his house, I went to the pull-up bar and I'm like struggling to get one pull-up in. And I'm someone that could used to be able to do like 12 pull-ups. I'm the guy that played 3 sports in high school. Like in college, I worked out. And then now my ego gets hit with like, and my pride gets hit of like, I can't even do one pull-up. But I had to courageously accept where I was at, honor that, and then say, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to keep going and make progress. And that there's courage in doing that. And how I think about courage is in the face of fear, where you have this fear response from the body, which could feel like resistance, pressure, tension, this imaginary wall in front of you that you feel you can't move forward. It's recognizing that and then still moving forward. And that is by making a decision, whatever that decision is. And then if there's action required, taking the action. And that's how I look at it for courage, is that it's not an absence of fear, but fear will be there. It's moving through it. The other one I want to share with you for the habit is what number are we on? Number 3 is the movement throughout the day. So I learned this from Dr. Casey Means, where our mitochondria produce energy, ATP. And what I didn't realize was by moving, you are producing energy in the body, which is so cool. Like the mitochondria are doing their thing. And then if you move multiple times throughout the day, you're able to produce energy throughout the day. And over time, that builds up to creating more mitochondria. And then I think about that as your capacity for energy expands to be able to produce more energy in the body. And that helped me to courageously, when I felt like shit, and I was like, man, I should probably just like chill and take a nap and relax. I was able to shift that and courageously get up and create some movement. And then when I was doing that, over time, I noticed changes in how I was feeling. Like even for going out for a 5-minute walk in between intense work tasks where I just want to cocoon, that cocoon feeling, and you just want to like, close up and like really get away from everyone else. That I had to courageously make the decision that I'm actually going to create some movement and get outside, change my environment, and move through that resistance. And then over time, I noticed that it helped me with a boost of energy throughout the day when I would take the time to create movement. And that would help me with clarity for my work tasks. It helped me to show up better in my relationship. It helped me to show up better for myself, of being proud of myself, of like, I'm taking care of my body. Because I go back to this quote of that a healthy person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person only has one: to get better and to get healthy. And for me to remind myself when I create movement that I'm honoring all the potential possibilities of the dreams that I have and the levels I can go in my life, like that's a beautiful gift I get to give myself. That makes me proud of myself. And it comes back to love for ourselves. It's a way that I'm giving love to myself and to my body. Because again, not all the days I'm going to like myself. We have those moments where we don't like ourselves, but at the core of it, that love is there. And what gets built is trust too with that, because I'm taking care of my body. My body's going to take care of me, is how I look at that. And with movement, you can do different types of movement. I mean, there's so much variety here, which is really cool and exciting to try out. So it could be, think about it. Go for Pilates class, try Pilates exercises. I think about that because my life partner is really into it. It could be going for a hike. It could be doing intense resistance training workout, corrective exercises, stretching, whatever form it is for you. Any type of movement is helpful. And that's what I've come to learn, which is really cool, is that it can become a low level of effort required to do this. But doing it throughout the day is helpful because then you're able to have these energy boosts throughout the day too, which is cool. And of course, it goes back to when I talk about, common sense with this. It's recognizing when you really need to take the nap, like when it's really feeling exhausting. Like this is something when it comes to critical thinking that is really helpful with Make Burnout Extinct, is by making Burnout Extinct, you create more space to critically think, to understand the signals in your body that are letting you know you're headed towards hitting burnout, and make those changes where, oh, this is going to be the time for me to sleep, to be able to take a break from work, to be able to get outside for movement, to go and do that intense workout. Like when you can understand for you what are your burnout proof habits, and then specifically the timing to do the right habit for you in that moment, that's a game changer. Then it opens up new levels of possibilities for your life, which gets really exciting as you optimize your life and you want to go out there and achieve the vision you have for your life. So this one has been another really important one in my habits, my burnout proof habits. The next one I have for you is to take on challenges. So with challenges, that can look like it in different forms. I think about it as risk, taking risk. If I'm really comfortable with going out and doing a hike, then that's not really taking on a challenge for me. Like that's just like something that's my go-to. It's creating movement. It's helpful. It goes into that habit. But a risk, that how I look at that for risk, is actually sharing a belief of mine with a stranger. That's a risk, because I don't know if they're going to be open to it. I don't know if I'm going to be judged. I don't know if I'm going to be rejected. I don't know if I'm going to be attacked on my belief. But one of my fears that I have is to be seen. It's one I've been working on for a long time, and it's so funny. I think about that. We tend to want to go towards the thing that we have the most fear of like really wanting to work on it, and then all of a sudden sharing it, or not all of a sudden, but over time sharing it with everyone else. And so I think back to when I started off as a speaker, to then podcast host. I've done a few of these for podcasts, and for me, I realized it all came back to this fear of wanting to be seen, or this fear of being seen, because it was such a desire of me to want to be seen. But I in the past felt like I had to hide myself and had to protect myself. Felt like I had to follow the shoulds of everyone else and how they wanted me to show up and make sure that they're all taken care of. But really, the reason why I was doing that was this fear of not being able to be seen, or not this fear of not being able to see, this fear of being seen. I'm mixing that up, man. Mixing that up. You could tell how this feels for me. Like it has those tensions that build up for me. And so it's been one I've worked on for many years, and I have a lot of progress to go moving forward. But that is how you can think about it with taking on challenges. What is that fear for you? And what are the actions that you've put on the back burner that you can bring forward for an awareness and take action and move forward in those areas for the challenge? Maybe it is for you, the hike. Like that could be it for you. Or it could be actually understanding how you're really feeling in certain situations. Not just going back to like, I'm going to please everyone else, but like, how do I actually feel in this moment? Or it could be taking time to look at yourself in the mirror and say, look, I got to make a change here. It's time. I think back to another fear of mine, which was my heartbeat. I was so scared of my heartbeat for so long. I was scared of my body of like, oh man, there's nearly 40 trillion cells doing their damn thing for my body. Like that's scary because of control. Like I had a fear of letting go of control because I felt like there were so many potential perceived threats out there for me that if I could just control what's going on in my life, I'm going to be okay. And it can feel like you're gripping the steering wheel of life. And that can help to propel you forward because you're moving forward and you're making progress in certain areas of your life. You feel like you notice a lot of growth, but that could be also masking that deeper fear that you have. It could be the fear of not being enough, fear that you're going to get rejected if you're not perfect. And it's giving yourself that space to honor when you have those sensations that come up from the body, which can feel like this overwhelm, it's the bubbles that come up, this anxiety bubble that could come up, the stress bubble that comes up, the overwhelm bubble that comes up. It's honoring that, but then releasing that out through the decisions you make and the action you take. Because the body is like a balloon. It can fill up with a certain amount of capacity for that stress and that overwhelm, that anxiety. That's what makes the body so badass. I had gotten this narrative somewhere, somehow, that my body was fragile, that my body, any small little thing is going to destroy the whole system of the body. And that really freaked me out and created more stress in my body. But to realize that my body's doing the damn thing of helping me and being on my team, and I just got to make sure I take care of my body. That was an incredible shift as well for a reframe. But it was through the risk, taking on these risks and realizing that I can survive this. Because usually with something intense that can come up where we have a lot of fear that builds up and then we don't lean into courage is because I know for me, one of them is like, am I going to survive this thing? Am I going to survive the rejection? Am I going to survive the verbal judgment on what it is I'm doing? Can I survive that? And I have realized that I've had enough reps of stepping into this to realize that I can. And the confidence has grown within me to realize I can handle the challenges that come my way. And that's a gift that I want you to be able to give to yourself too. And coming back to, because I missed this one, is coming back to celebrating the small wins. So when you take that action of taking on the challenge, celebrate after you put the rep in. Because there can be this narrative of like, oh, but I want to, all this internal thoughts in my mind and this pain, that is my fuel. That's what like keeps me going, to get out of the pain. And I think it's very helpful at the beginning in certain situations because how I relate back to this for pain is that I remembered one time I was helping out with this event and the event organizer at like what ended up happening, how I interpreted it, was the event organizer valued cold plunges and saunas over the work that I could help provide for the event itself. And what I realized in that moment, and was one of the greatest gifts this person could have given me, was that I am not doing all that I'm capable of in this moment. I'm holding myself back. Because if that person can't see the value that I can provide, but I know the value is there within me, then I got to continue to show the world. And that was I'll show them moment. And that was pain for me. That was pain of that rejection in that moment and realizing I got to do this thing for me. And then from there to be able to share that with the world. And so it can be helpful for pain, but then it's realizing at times that does it go too much? Does it go too far? Can you feel satisfied in your day? And I have come to learn it's important to have both of those. Satisfaction in your day, that you put it all out on the line, and that you want to explore more and that you want to grow more. And there are different fuels they can use for that, one of which is pain. The other one is curiosity and excitement and exploration. And I think they each all play a part. I mean, there's a reason why they're all there, is how I look at it. Because it is a moment through all this to be proud of yourself when you take on the challenges. When you're taking on those challenges and you're moving forward, it's a moment to recognize that for yourself and give yourself that small win and be proud of yourself. And that will stack up as a habit, because it's going to feel a little awkward and could feel a little weird to be able to celebrate that and acknowledge that for yourself. The last habit I want to share with you is eating healthy foods, or healthier foods, or as I think about it, foods that are nourishing for me, that are energizing. It's been since like 2016 that I've consciously put effort towards this area of my life. And I've noticed a big difference. Rather than feeling super drained with the food that I'm eating, which would be in the past sometimes highly processed, ultra processed foods, removing that and doing the best that I can to be whole foods and minimally processed foods, I've noticed that difference to feeling more energized, understanding the vitamins and nutrients in this food that I'm putting into my body that's helping to fuel me. I mean, it's wild to recognize that this is helping my body and I'm taking care of my body. And so I try to do it to the best of my ability to support my body in that way. I also get really excited for updates now when it comes to the food here in the U.S. With RFK Jr. being the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I'm excited for this vision he talks about of getting toxins out of the food supply system. And because it's been an uphill battle. I think about this in 2016. There's so many external influences to try to pull you to eating the ultra processed foods, to feeling drained after you're eating, and it can lead to feeling sicker. So with this habit, what it's done for me is when I feel energized with food, and especially when I've eaten, like when I haven't eaten, I get hangry, and then also anxiety starts to bubble up even more for me. And that caused me for the fear to build up even more for new experiences where I'm going to have to rely on courage to support myself, to take the action and to move forward in my life. So by feeling nourished and feeling energized with that food, that's been a way that's really been helpful for me to like courageously move forward and in the action that I've got to take in those moments. So I'm really excited to explore a little bit more with this. If it's of interest for you to learn more about food and how it can feel more energizing for you. And it comes back to this mission to make burnout extinct, and burnout and health, they're super interconnected. So please send me a message. You can send me an email or social media message if this would be of interest to you to explore more of topics relating around food. But those are my 5. So as a recap for those habits, first one that we have, oh man, I'm trying to remember. Okay, here we go for the 5. So honor your commitments. Number 1. Number 2, celebrate the small wins. Number 3 is movement throughout your day. Number 4 is taking on challenges. And then number 5 is eating healthy foods. And those 5 have been my favorites. When I think about it in this moment, this chapter I'm in, I look back at the 5 when I was creating this. Those were the 5 that came up. And what I want to remind you is that you are capable as a human being just to take these 5. And I go back to this quote from John Butcher, someone I really admire, which is, there is no one right way, but there's a right way for you. So figuring out your right way with these 5 habits and starting small and implementing them. And you can pick one after this conversation. What's the one that you can focus on to start small and build momentum from there? And what I want to also tell you, if you haven't heard it yet today, is I believe in you. You absolutely have the capabilities as a human being to make this happen, of making burnout extinct in your life. And it's not an overnight process, but you can start the process. You got this.